Good evening and afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another tropical update here by Agent Weather Forecast. In this video, we're going to be doing another update for the portion of the North Atlantic, as we do have a lot to talk about. Not only do we have Invest 95L, but we have a newly formed Invest 97L, and let me just tell you, Invest 97L is going to be very interesting, and I will explain it as we go throughout the video. But before we get into the actual forecast, I would recommend you guys subscribe as well as smash that like button and the bell icon notification. But without further ado, let's get to the tropical update. So here's looking now at the, I believe this is the 5 p.m. update. Not much has really changed with the 5 p.m. update. No, sorry, actually, never mind. We have the 8 o'clock update soon. So actually, the 8 o'clock update, we don't have a 5 o'clock update just now, but the 8 o'clock update will be coming here in just about an hour, so we will see what happens. Obviously, the last update was 2 o'clock Eastern, not 5 o'clock. I was mixed up a little bit. So we now have Invest 97L, and believe it or not, Invest 97L, which formed today officially, has a medium chance of development within the next 5 days. So it now has a better chance of development then Invest 95L, which has been here for days now. So Invest 95L was able to see 96L form before, and it may see 97L form before, because boy, we have a lot to really just keep an eye on for 97L. It may be our most interesting invest for the whole month of June when it comes to potential. So we do have shower activity associated from that tropical wave behind 95L, which definitely has a lot better conditions, and we're looking at possibly some gradual, maybe even additional development of this system is possible during the next several days, as it moves generally west northwestward at about 20 miles an hour. So this is a very fast moving low pressure, but it does have a lot ahead of it, because it is expected to go into the Western Chile region and then move into the Western Caribbean. At this point, it's have a 40% chance for the next 5 days and a 20% for the next 2 days. I'm telling you, I think this will be a lot, and I mean a lot higher once we wake up tomorrow morning. I think the 2 a.m. update is going to be very interesting. I would not doubt if by tomorrow we have a high risk for both 48 hours and 5 days, and this thing could very well form within the next maybe 24 hours. I mean, it's definitely possible we could see this becoming a tropical depression quite soon, as we do have to watch out for Invest 95L, a 20 to 30% here, so this one's still at a low risk for the next 48 hours and 5 days, and if I'm being honest, like I've been saying for the past few days, I really doubt there's going to be any gradual development with 95L. If it was going to form, it would have formed when it had a chance at this point. I just doubt Invest 95L is going to form even to a depression. I just doubt that. I think 97L is going to take the spotlight away from it. So here's our latest look here on the IR forecast for 97L. And as you do see, we do have quite a bit of convection within this area of low right now. We have a ton of convection for the northern area of this low, as well we do have a good amount of convection for that southern portion of that low as well. So we are seeing kind of some widespread convection around this general area, but based on the IR forecast, it looks like that low is basically right here. You kind of see a lot of that counterclockwise spin within this convection, so this thing is not looking too shabby. I believe this thing is sitting at 30 miles an hour, so it does have the tropical depression winds. The thing is, it has to try getting that structure. I think once this thing gets a structure overnight with maybe a drill maximum, this could very well be a tropical depression by tonight, because it takes really 1D max for this invest to possibly become a tropical depression, and then there is a good chance this could very well become Elsa, which will be the next named storm, since we already passed D. And if this were to form into a tropical storm tomorrow night, because some models have this forming as early as tomorrow night as a tropical storm, this will be the earliest E, and not only the earliest, but the first E storm to develop before July. So obviously tomorrow's the last day of June, so this thing would have to rapidly form into a tropical storm. Obviously, if it becomes a tropical depression, that really won't necessarily break any records. However, if we get the actual name storm itself, letter E, then we will be seeing a big record, our first letter E storm in before July 1st. That will be very interesting for sure. Not even 2005 or 2021 did, or 2020 did that whatsoever. 2020 was close to that. I believe we saw Edward form on the 4th or 5th of July. I know it was one of those days, but here's looking at 95L. I mean, at this point, it's really irrelevant. This thing just losing convection all over the place. There is some lightning. Obviously, there is more lightning in 95L than 97L at this point. But again, 95L just has a lot less convection. and it only has one specific area of actual lightning. It's lost a lot of lightning compared to earlier. Today we had some widespread areas of convection. At this point, this thing is really dying out, and I really do think this really most likely will not form whatsoever. So let's now go ahead and get a look here at the European probability of tropical depression winds, and obviously we do have a 90 to 100% for this region, because we already have 30 miles an hour for Invest 97L. As we now get to the next one, the 4 days, still a pretty widespread area of 90 to 100, because there we have 95L, and then there we have 97L. That's exactly why we have scattered areas of 90 to 100%, because we still have two invests within this actual area region. As we now get into the next to the 5 days, this is where we'll be seeing the wind probability for 97L, and I do believe this is a 90%. Yeah, this is 80-90% there for tropical depression winds within the next 2 to 5 days, which would be July 1st, July 1st, July 4th, and that'll gradually decrease as we get into the southern and western Caribbean. Tropical storm wind probabilities, we do have a higher chance for currently 95L with a 60 to 70%, but in the area of 97L, we do have a 40 to 50%, but no, 30 to 40 or 40 to 50 highest. As we now gradually go into the next one, 2 to 5 days, then gradually we'll have the Invest 97L probabilities, and that will stick at a, believe, was it at 50-60? So that color is going to be, let's see here, 60 to 70% there for tropical storm winds for Invest 97L. So definitely very interesting. As when I get past their 3 to 6 days, we're still sticking at a 30-40, and then it gradually decreases into a 10-20% there for those tropical storm winds. Let's now go ahead and get a look here at the Invest 97L model intensity guidance, and as you do see, we are going to be seeing sorry guys, we are going to be seeing here on the intensity guidance, a lot of these computer models want to have this thing forming. Every single one of these models have it forming, but the majority, that kind of pack, has it forming within the next basically 12 to 24 hour time period. So this thing could form, like become actual, not only a depression, but an actual storm itself, become named by the next 24 hours. And if that were to occur, that would allow this to be the earliest E ever and the first E named storm in June. But either way, if this does not become Elsa by tomorrow evening, if not even if we were to have this become a tropical depression, it would be, I believe, an 11 o'clock advice, which is at 8 o'clock. If this were to form tomorrow night to tomorrow evening as Elsa, that would obviously set the record. But if it does not become Elsa before those advisories, there's still a very good chance this will become Elsa at some point. But like I just said, the majority want to have this form within the next 24 hours. Not only depression, but as well tropical storm. And then we also have a ton of models, I believe like 8 or 7, I'm not really sure, I didn't really count, that want to get this to Cat 1. And I don't want to sound like a noob, but based on the track, or potential track, and considering the conditions on those potential tracks, I don't think we can rule out a hurricane. Obviously, it's still not even a depression, so how can we say that for certain, or even say it at all? But I'm just going to say this thing does have the best chance to become a hurricane. This storm, out of all the storms we've seen so far this year, which has been 4, because obviously we got the A, B, C, and D, this is definitely the best, or has the best likelihood to become a hurricane of all those storms we've seen so far this year. The track, here's the track. You guys see, this is a typical track that you would see that could produce a hurricane. Obviously, like I've been showing you guys in my hurricane forecast, we have a ton of ocean heat content that's very warm within this region. So if this thing were to go a whole 4 days strengthening and then go into those high ocean heat content areas, this thing could easily reach over 75 miles an hour. Obviously, I'm not saying it's going to happen, because obviously a change of track can go this way. Obviously, track is still very, very uncertain at this point, so we just have to get a better idea. But if it were to go, like all these models want to take it, kind of to the western Caribbean, near the Yucatan Peninsula, south of Jamaica, kind of between Venezuela and Hispaniola, if it were to do that, I think this is definitely going to be our strongest storm so far we've had this year. Obviously, it'll get easily topped directly after in July, but I think this thing is definitely going to be our strongest storm that we've seen so far out of, obviously, the first runs we've seen this year. Obviously, Anna, Bill, Claudette, and obviously what we saw earlier on with Danny. I think that out of all those four, this is definitely going to be the strongest out of those because it really won't be hard to beat Bill, and it really won't be hard to beat Claudette either. So we're just going to keep a very close eye on this. Let's not go ahead and get a look at the tracks here. Another track. So here's obviously the one we just looked at. Let's not go ahead and get a look here at what the CMC wants to show on this. So we just looked at GFS. Now let's go ahead and get a look here at the CMC on Invest 97L. And a lot of these tracks for the CMC are very similar, kind of going towards the Lesser Antilles and Windward Island region and the southeastern Caribbean, and then gradually make its way towards the Espanol area. However, the CMC wants to take this turning northwest a lot sooner because obviously the GFS wants to take it like, oops, I don't want to do that. Kind of wants to take Invest 97L kind of maybe that way, while the CMC kind of wants to take it far towards the northwest a lot sooner. So if that were to happen, this thing would likely be a tropical storm, if anything. But if it were to do the GEFS tracks like we just looked at, then a hurricane's definitely possible because again, this thing's gonna be pretty fast moving, so it will be hard to see this form. It was kind of like Isaias. Isaias was moving way too fast for this thing to become a hurricane before making landfall across the Caribbean. It took a while for this to become a Cat 1, Isaias. Same thing with here. It's moving 20 miles an hour to the northwestward area, so this thing has to slow down or has to be over water for a while. So if it were to take a northwest turn like that, like the CMC wants to take it, this thing will struggle to become a good system. So let's go ahead and look at the Invest 95L tracks, and a lot of these want to continue to take it towards the Lesser Antilles. So either way, the Lesser Antilles are going to get a lot of rain within the next few days because of both Invest, and obviously 97L will be a lot more significant than 95L by the time it actually gets to the actual region. But 95L shouldn't be too big of an issue. The only thing is a lot of these computer models want to have it forming. I mean, a lot of them. The thing is, not a single global model is picking up on this. And obviously, this thing has been an Invest for a while. It's still a 2030. But the National Hurricane Center has kind of halted in increasing the probabilities. And it looks like the National Hurricane Center is even a little bit less confident in this. I mean, they really rose Invest 97L ahead of 95L for a certain reason. That's because there's a lot more confidence in 97L. And a lot of the computer models like SHIP and IC, they just absolutely suck. I mean, even the Hawaiian model want to take this. And we do have a lot less models now showing it becoming a storm. We have the AMI, the ABNI, the HMNI, even the Icon want to have this kind of stay just at an Invest possibly, if anything. Tropical depression, I mean, if a tropical depression were to occur, it would shock me, but it wouldn't not shock me as much as if this were to become an actual named storm. Like I said, I doubt Invest 95L will be anything, although a lot of these computer models would have it form. These computer models in general just really do suck, and I wouldn't take it, because not even the European, GFS, CMC, none of those really show this at all. And the fact that this thing's already an Invest and they don't show it is definitely showing something. It's not like it's days out, but let's not go ahead and look at the actual models. Let's not go ahead and get a look here at the GFS 18Z forecast update. So let me actually move my screen a little bit further to the further down my screen so you guys can get a better look at what I'm looking at. So there you see Invest 95L's right here, basically just overnight showers. But look at 97L. Obviously it's not looking any better, but it does actually have an area of low right there. And there you see the little ice bar. I believe Invest 97L is at 1,009 millibars, which is not shabby. It's actually already lower than 95L, and it's been Invest for less than 12 hours. Or I think basically a little bit more. But as we now get into the next 24 hours, the GFS wants to have this at 1,005 millibars. So the next 24 hours is basically at 7 o'clock. So, I mean, that gives it still a lot more time to actually become a system. But obviously, we have to have the advisory gap, which is 6 hours. So 1,005 millibars by tomorrow evening. So it could definitely become a tropical depression by tomorrow. And then GFS will have it strengthened to 998 millibars once time, or no, 999 before going towards the Lesser Antilles in the next 60 hours. So it could definitely at this point be a low end, maybe mid end tropical storm, and then making landfall 1,002 millibars, and then kind of sticking around at 999, 998 before making landfall on Hispaniola. But boy, the 12Z was going mental on this storm. 6Z and 12Z were going absolutely mental for this storm. Wanted to have it at a big hurricane. Although they don't show that anymore, they're still kind of consistent with this storm forming and pretty consistent with the actual track. Let's not go ahead and get a look at the vorticity. There's a really good vorticity signature with this. I mean, look at that vorticity signature in the next 33 hours. I mean, look at 95L. It's just embarrassing how two storms could form before 95L becomes anything interesting. But look at that. Then making landfall during the Lesser Antilles, possibly as either a depression or a weekend tropical storm, and then going into portions of Hispaniola. Let's not go ahead and get a look here at the actual conditions. So the SSTs are going to be quite warm within this region. Let's actually take away that from the bottom. So there is going to be some pretty warm waters where 97Ls right now is, I believe, right there, something like that, over 27 degrees Celsius waters, and it will continue to trend over anywhere from 26 to 27 degrees Celsius water. So waters won't be a problem really whatsoever, so there's not any limiting factors with that. As well, we have a pretty significant moisture bubble with this at this point, so it does have a kind of on the back end of that tropical wave, and then it's going to continue to kind of make its way into its own moisture bubble and kind of, I guess, embed itself within that big wave itself and kind of have a big moisture bubble, which will help save it from a lot of that dry air. So really, there's not going to be much SAL problems or dry air, and it'll continue to go through the Lesser Antilles and Caribbean. And last but not least, shear. There's not going to be much shear in this forecast if the mess is staying up. There's going to be a lot of areas of less than 15 knots, which will definitely be a great help. But hope you guys enjoyed the video, and bye guys.